I'd like to call the meeting to order of July 19th, 2023 of the Portsmouth Borough Council. Would you please, Officer Williams, please lead us in the pledge of allegiance. So you can drive.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please have a roll call, Ms. Connors.
Mr. Bauke. Here. Mr. Burley.
Here.
Mr. Martin.
Here.
I'm not sure what that was. Mr. Ergeldinger,
Present via Zoom.
Mr. Lawrence, Ms. Martin,
Present.
Mr. Watkins,
Here.
Mayor Porco, Ms. Sullivan, Mr. Corbel,
Present.
Mr. Mack,
Present.
and I'm present as well.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to call on our solicitor, Mr. Vogel, to conduct a public hearing in the matter of the proposed amendment to the borough zoning ordinances to allow automobile washes as a conditional use in the S2 and B1 zoning districts pursuant to the petition of Putnam Pittsburgh Ardmore PASD LLC. Mr. Vogel, please.
That's working.
I don't know.
It was. Oh, okay, all right.
Good evening, everybody. At this time, I'd like to call to order the public hearing on the proposed amendment to the zoning ordinance as described by Vice President DeMarco. I know for the applicant, we have Donald Grant, attorney. Mr. Grant, if you'd like to explain to council, make your presentation with respect to your proposed ordinance.
Here.
Right there, please, and please speak into the microphone so you can hear.
Okay, thank you. As Mr. Corbel said, my name is Donald Graham, and you're representing Putnam Ardmore PASD LLC, which is the party that sought an amendment to the zoning ordinance before you tonight. With me tonight is Cody Mora, as a representative of Putnam, and also Garrett Warner, who's kind of around the corner from Morris and Morris Associates, and engineer on the project. As I stated, we filed an application for an amendment to the text of the zoning ordinance. Putnam is currently holding an equitable interest in the property by virtue of a sales agreement to purchase the property at 2060 Ardmore Boulevard. It's where the Drew's Restaurant formerly operated. That property had been on the market for a while, and my client signed that agreement to purchase. We're proposing to construct an automobile wash on that site, or car wash on that site. Your current ordinance includes car washes as part of the overall definition of an automobile service station. And so initially, when we brought this request to the Planning Commission first, we brought this request as a request to allow an automobile service station in the S2 zoning district. When we did that and we started through the process with the Planning Commission, there were several concerns raised by the Planning Commission. Specifically, that there were areas of the S2 where they felt that an automobile service station was not an appropriate use. After some back and forth with the Planning Commission, it was suggested that we remove an automobile car wash effectively from an automobile service station and make it a standalone use, because they didn't see a problem with that use in the S2 zoning district if it was by itself. They just didn't think an automobile service station was an appropriate use. So the other input that we got from the Planning Commission was a request to do something to address some of the environmental goals that the borough has. So as a result of that, we added some definitions to your ordinance that would identify an electric vehicle, and would identify an electric vehicle charging station. And we'll get to it in a minute. We have incorporated that into the car wash definition in terms of the conditions of conditional use, which would require an electric vehicle charging station as part of that. I want to be clear tonight because people may want to start to get into the details of, well, what does the site plan look like? How is this going to line up? What about traffic and all that stuff? None of that's really before you tonight, because we're just here to amend the text. If the text amendment were granted, we would have to start through a whole process of applying for conditional use and applying for land development approval. And that would be the time when all of those issues would be addressed. Tonight is just to determine whether or not this particular use, as we've defined, is appropriate and should be added to the zoning ordinance. We proposed this use as a conditional use in two zoning districts in your municipality. The first being the B1 and the second being the S2. If you look at the uses in the S2 district and the B1 district, those uses are very similar. There's a lot of service related things, business related items that are going on in there. And we felt that that was an appropriate location for this type of use. It's also on Ardmore Boulevard where you are very close to some apartment complexes, which would likely be users of this type of a facility, because they may not have the ability to wash their car at those apartment buildings. So we thought this was an appropriate place for it. As I said, we made it a conditional use. I don't want to go through all the conditions in the conditional use, but there's a couple that are important here. We would be required to provide as part of an application a traffic study to demonstrate that there would be no adverse impacts to the traffic on Ardmore Boulevard if this was granted. We have to have a photometric plan to make sure that the lighting is appropriate so that the light doesn't spill over onto adjacent properties. We have a series of provisions dealing with ingress and egress, the circulation around the building to make sure that we're not going to cause any problem with traffic backing up. We've also indicated certain site requirements, a minimum site of 10,000 square feet, side yard setbacks, and a requirement that any parking or development of this property has to be more than 100 feet from any residential property. It creates a good separation from any residential properties around it. And then finally, we at request of the planning commission, we added an electric vehicle charging station. There's a requirement that there be a minimum of 2 with any car wash that would be allowed under this. Those would be facilities that would be available to the public to obviously pay a fee to use the charging station to charge any electric vehicle. That's really all that I have. It's a pretty straightforward request. I'd be happy to answer any questions or anything that anybody has.
At this point, members of council, if you have any questions or comments for Mr. Graham, now's the time. And once the council question and answer session ends, we will open the public comment. Anybody on the council?
No questions at this time, sir?
Okay, seeing none, thank you, Mr. Graham. Any members of the public that would have a public comment on this matter, please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record. And you know,
thank you, Mr. Portable. Richard Fothbrand, 338 Woodside Road, right here in Forest Hill. Thank you. I came to speak about car wash, the change in our zoning to make a conditional use to put a car wash on Ardmore Boulevard. I have no ill will towards these fine gentlemen back here, but I think what council can do is save their development. We don't want this. in our neighborhoods. And I'm speaking to you as the gentleman from the planning commission for several years who led all of the public commentary sessions in the borough to listen to what people wanted in the future of Forest Hills. And many folks in this room and many folks on this council were participants in that planning process and participants in providing public feedback. We have some folks coming to us asking us to make a change in our ordinance. They're proposing the text of that change to you to fit their business interests. They're welcome to do that. That don't seem to align with what the residents of the borough said they wanted when we did our comprehensive plan. Our folks want a walkable area on that Arden Boulevard district. They want more businesses. If we are going to put more businesses in that area that are encouraging more vehicular traffic and more vehicular traffic that is going at higher rates of speed, which has consistently been a problem on Arden Boulevard, we're only going to create Arden Boulevard as another McKnight Road or another Route 22 in the road. We all go there to those places, and there are plenty of car washes there. We don't need that in Forest Hills. We need Drew's to stay open. We need to support because the other thing you're taking away by allowing this very specific conditional use is a third place. And we talked about a lot of this in planning. The third place, where are the places that residents go that is not work and it's not home? How many third places do we have in this borough that people can go to and enjoy their lives in the community? Drew's is a third place for us. We have to go there, but we can't go there for Drew's, whatever business restaurant might be there. We have to go and support it. But if we're not going to listen to the residents and they came out and gave us that feedback during the comprehensive plan, we have to show them right now that we're listening. So I encourage you to not accept these changes. And if we do want to make a change to accommodate charging stations or something to do with automotive related industries, I get it. We can make those changes. I'm not trying to stand in the way of progress, but we need to choose progress that's right for us and for our residents, not just for other folks to come into our community and make them. Thank you.
Additional people wishing to speak?
Hi, good evening. My name is Gretchen Mendoza. I'm at 339 Woodside, across the street from Drake. Tonight I'm representing both myself as a resident of Forest Hills and also the Forest Hills Community Alliance, which I know many of you are already familiar with, but is the Community Development Corporation in the area. And we've been working really hard over the past year or so to redefine the vision and mission of the organization has been about since the 90s. And as part of that vision, I think this district and the site become quite a central and anchoring aspect to our community. And it's something we've been giving a lot of thought and want to give a lot more thought to in the future as we organize and work with the community to co-develop what could be. To me, I'll speak for myself, this amendment feels short-sighted and a bit reactive to development interest. And again, with all the respect in the world to everyone's interest, we think that this is an opportunity to really, as Rick mentioned, but I'll echo that, to make this a place of culture, extend its relevance and social character to a district that we know needs even more of that. We also think this encouragement of it being transactional in nature, a destination is a place you stop in and keep moving, simply reinforces this notion of Forest Hills as being a place you drive through instead of a ultimate destination where you want to spend time and potentially grow your roots. So we implore the council to rethink the zoning division and to allow FHCA to work closely with you to support you in revitalizing the district with a more thoughtful and informed approach. And so, I'm just looking at my notes here, we just want to be proactive and assertive with you and with the community to ensure that we redevelop appropriately. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak?
On Sumner Avenue, this 30 Sumner Avenue. Sorry, my parents, I walked here, I see we've been back. So I'm fairly new to the area. My husband and I moved here in 2019. We had lived in East Pittsburgh prior to that. And one of the things that really drew us to this area was that we had restaurants and such in walking distance, which is what we loved about living in the downtown before we, kind of got priced out of there. And it's one of the things that really made us really fall in love with this location, especially that there are 2 diners within walking distance. We love Reese's. So I noticed that there were a lot of houses that are coming up for sale. And there are going to be a lot of younger people who are moving from the city, where the city is way too expensive, to here where it's, reasonably priced. And bringing kind of that energy into this area, and what they're going to want is the ability to walk and go places without, that have character and where you can meet friends for coffee and such, just like they did in the city. And it would be really a shame for this area to turn into kind of another suburb. And kind of that's a whole idea of what a suburb is. So please don't vote for this and keep your restaurant. Thanks. Thank you.
Anyone else, please? Wish to speak?
Hi, my name is Kathleen Madera. I live at 3920 Brinsford Pike. I lived here since I was 3 years old. I grew up with our officer, Chucky Williams. So I'm a longtime resident. I go from the days when we walked from Sharon Drive and everyone walked down the yard more to Ted's, what was it, penny store, and to the bakery that was Neil's, and everywhere you walk, there used to be some other street, Super Dollar, I guess that's what it's township, and Shopping Estate down here, so on. So, and I was there when we cut the ribbon to the pool. It's all everything. Obviously, there's been changes, but there's changes everywhere. Nothing remains exactly the same. Or else we can make progress, and I understand that. However, here's my question also about the car wash. Would it be a car wash that's like on Rhode Island Road, it's like a 2-car thing? Or would it be one of those where people are lined up waiting to go through? That would be a serious problem. But with either one, I just hate to see, I believe will cause problems on the other one. Because there's already problems where they're, on the speedway, same as the Pike. I mean, it's crazy. So I believe that we could end up having some more issues with traffic. And like the young girl that moved here not too long ago, and she and her, I think she and her husband, you were usually walking everywhere. And I mean, I used to even walk the Armour up the hill to go home when I used to work in Brooklyn. And it's a nice community to walk at the pool. You walk out in the big bucket of parks, and we have a park. And to see that come in, it's just completely. We already have a gas station that I think it's got a car wash. I don't know if it's still that. No. So we just want to keep Forest Hills, the nice community also include the driver, and residents love the river. It's an amazing, not range, whatever, forgive me, I can't apply for, Thank you. Service, yeah. So, I would hope that you would oppose. But, you know, let's face it, when people want to purchase property and put in something they want, bottom line is money. They want to make money. And I just think we should keep trying to keep our money with the Forest residents that we go to use all the time. It's not as free, it's not as much anymore since what happened with COVID kind of really wrecked a lot of things. So with that little bit of being said, I would hope that you would deny it. Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else, please? Yes. Yes, for the record, please.
Bill Tomasic, 140 Tanglewood Drive. All I can say is the traffic down there every day is atrocious. Putting a car wash in that particular location, the crossover with the existing pavement, when you build one, would be the traffic. I don't see how any traffic study would be able to support putting something like that in, so I'm in complete opposition to anything like that at that location. Right?
Any other speakers, please? Yes, please. Please speak into the line.
My name is Lauren Baker. I live on Lance. Drew's Restaurant is right on the road since I moved out. This was done about 25 years ago. Drew's Restaurant hired young students from Woodland Hills High School. This is usually their first job. They have been, and when they work close, the owners take them home, they still get home safely. And it's also a place where we take our children to make memories, have ice cream, nice dessert. It's a staple in the community, and it should remain. That's all I can do.
Anyone else, please? Anyone else willing to speak?
Vice President Martha, if I may.
Yes.
Okay. If there are no other public speakers, just to set the table for council in attendance. There is a motion with the planning and zoning committee. If council would like to take this up this evening. In addition, according to our zoning ordinance, council will need days from today to make a decision and vote on this matter if you so choose. You can vote tonight or anytime in the next 90 days. Just want to make sure everybody understood that. And if there are no other public comments, Mr. Brand, anything from you?
I'm not any further unless council has any questions.
Nothing from council? With that, the public hearing is closed and you can proceed to the agenda, Vice President.
Thank you very much. I have a request under the President's report to remark that we had a 50th anniversary luncheon for Mr. Bielacker, our public works foreman, and resolutions were read in his honor by not only our mayor, Frank Porco, but also by Senator Jake Costa. And we join them in thanking Mr. Bielacker for his long service. The mayor is not present. Do we have a tax complete report in Solomon? Chief Williams, please.
Thank you. All I have to report on is, we have the August 1st National Night Out coming up in a few weeks. I'll remind everybody we're gonna have a walk for it. Please let us know your proposal. So we provide the walk aid, walk road off, and give us a chance to know where you are so we can stop this. Not only myself, but of the elected officials, fire department, and the EMS people who probably want to stop by. Find it down too, if possible. That's all I have.
Thank you very much. The Fort Hills Community Alliance, we wish to say anything in the way of report. Thank you. Fire chief report, is not present, Mr. Andrea from Woodland will be EMS, is not present. Solicitor report.
Nothing to report.
We have a report from Ms. Rose of the Wilkinsburg Penn Joint Water Authority that there was a break at 254 Avenue A, 403 Lennox, and 1612 Ardmore and 36 Marwood. I do not have a status on whether those breaks have been repaired, but I think they have. Under other community board reports, I'll go first. Report. Okay. Under, I have two reports, one under Connect. Anthony Terrace has been retained by Connect to work on the fire service collaboration, and he will be speaking to me with public safety in August to talk about collaborative fire safety services. Tommy Thielacker of our fire department has been working with this task force for 2 years now, and they're ready to make some recommendations. So we look forward to that report. Under the Pennsylvania Municipal League, I would like to comment that there will be a motion later in this meeting regarding House Bill 291, which will have a significant negative revenue effect on municipalities. This bill is one that will subordinate municipal fees and delinquent taxes to mortgages upon transfer of property or upon settlement of things that are in foreclosure. That means that the borough will have less likelihood of collecting these revenues, and also it will make our budgeting more difficult because we won't be able to rely on that. And property owners will pay more under this because the taxes will come from the remainder of the population that's covered with delinquencies. So we are going to be joining the Pennsylvania Municipal League in opposition to this bill if the council agrees, and we'll have that under discussion under finance. Nothing else to report at this time. And then we'll proceed to are we having an executive session this evening?
Yes, we are. I just realized that noted for the end of the meeting to make sure I mentioned that. I noticed it was one.
Okay. All right, and we will have an executive session at the end of this meeting.
It will be on personnel matters and to proceed with my legal advice.
Thank you. All right, at this time, we will take any public comments regarding agenda items that are before the council this evening.
It's on the agenda and on.
Yes. This could be for any matters that are before council, and only residents and taxpayers will be permitted to address council, and you may speak for a maximum of 5 minutes. And groups of people may designate a spokesperson to represent them, and they may speak for 10 minutes. Citizens are asking to use the microphone at the speaker's stand and clearly state name and address for the record and keep comments brief and to the point. Okay. Next.
Bill Tomasic, 140 Kennedy, I was on the council 15 years and I never received the applause that I'd like to. I think maybe I've been on the wrong side of the table. Now, and let's serious. Okay. There are a couple of structures, call them, that have been placed at 433 Fillmore and 515 Fillmore. I don't know if you guys have pictures of them a lot. So let's start with the 515 Fillmore. That's a huge structure. I believe it's over 6 feet high. And so you can't have one part of it 6 and the other part of it 7. And finally, it also, I guess, follows whatever rules you guys put into place recently. I guess boxes. To me, it's an eyesore sticking out that far in your front yard, and I just kind of problems with that altogether. Construction and parking lots. Yeah, setbacks are reasonable. Okay, this is in my opinion, response. However, I would like to make sure that we do go through the motions. Make sure that what is going on here beats whatever can. I look at it and say it's 5 hours. And it's in the front yard, which I guess you guys have now committed in terms of this structure. But if it has any netting, I believe it has to be taken down. So if you're putting these new things in, please make sure you enforce all the rules of how to go on there. The second one down, that thing has been in there for 443, I think it's been there 2 years now. And no one ever did anything to structure the front lot. It should have been removed. But instead, because we have this, whatever it was. I don't know, I don't remember anybody coming to council, presenting things that have to be changed or whatever. But obviously, it seems like somebody new moves into the neighborhood. And we adjust to those people as opposed to residents that have been here 15, 20, 25 years. No input from the rest of the community. And I believe those are improperly placed as well. I don't believe that the height of it, in terms of how the structure is supposed to be, without getting too technical, again, it should be reviewed, and if it's not properly placed in there, it should be adjusted or whatever the case is. And the fencing again has to be taken down. After what is November, see the specific months and do the ordinance for the association. I would also ask that you review and revisit this in your ordinance. I go up and down Fillmore all the time. There are so many, there's 10, 12 fences. Every one of them meets the old code. Okay, everyone followed everything into the hillside. Okay. What they did was they put in retaining walls, and then on top of that, you might have some plants. And it makes for a nice appearance, a good appearance, one that is going to attract people, as opposed to something like this, which I think is a food trap. And you have a committee, I think, would be led by Mr. Boland, Planning and Zoning. If you're going to take this up, I would like to participate in that committee process and give my view as a resident who's lived here and then follow all the rules associated with this fence. So I think, you know, the protection of these plants, I redid my whole front yard, couldn't keep it here. Okay, and Ms. Martin, she put a nice article in the paper a month ago or so, telling people how they can make adjustments, take care of it. You know, whatever was in instead of tools. Very simple. But again, I don't think this is good for the borough. I don't think it's good for the property values. And again, I would like to the committee to take this up and review it and see if we can go back to what we had before, which we already made these adjustments. Please make sure that the rules that are in place are enforced, so that this doesn't simply go by the waste. And one other thing too, I'd like to add, if people are going to put this, if people are going to put this in, they should just like you have the fence, there should be a problem where it is registered with the borough and this fee associated. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Thank you, Mr. Transit. Would anyone else who wishes to address council on any matters that are either on the agenda or not on the agenda? Being none, I'd like to ask for committee reports. Mr. Lawrence, operations and policy, please.
Thank you. I move to approve the minutes from June 21st, 2023 council meeting.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I move to appoint Nick Smirker, the regular member of the Environmental Advisory Council, to the term concluded on February 28, 2026.
Second. Thank you, may we have a roll call vote, Mr. Moore, please?
Mr. Baoki,
Yes.
Mr. Burley,
Yes.
Mr. Marco,
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence,
Yes.
Ms. Watkins. I'm sorry, Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Watkins,
Yes.
Mr. Erdinger.
Yes.
Motion passes.
I apologize. I'm getting used to my eyes.
All right, I move to approve ordinance number 1107, amending chapter 146 of the code of ordinances to reestablish the Environmental Advisory Council. Its requirements, responsibilities, and procedures.
Mr. Morris, will you have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Baoki,
Yes.
Mr. Burley,
Yes.
Mr. Marco,
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence,
Yes.
Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Watkins,
Yes.
Mr. Erdinger.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Due to a clerical error, I move to amend the number of key resolution and approved at the June 2023 meeting from 12:54 to 12:55.
Second.
May I have a roll call vote, Mr. Morris?
Mr. Baoki,
Yes.
Mr. Burley,
Yes.
Mr. Marco,
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence,
Yeah.
Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Watkins,
Yes.
Mr. Erdinger.
Yes.
Just mention that there are various commissions, committees, that are all looking for volunteers, so we have a lot of residents here tonight, sign up. Everything else you can, I think you can, read in the agenda, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Lawrence. Mr. Watkins, would you please report your findings?
Thank you, Madam President. We have two motions. The first, I move to approve the payment of bills for the month of June in the following amounts. We have a general fund budget, $330,015.35. The corrective action budget, $441,361.77. The fire protection fee of $6,492.77. Road improvement, $30,803.54. Capital improvements plan, $81,167.35. The Centennial Grant, $888.32, and the 2015 bond issued in the amount of $26,700.91.
Have a second. Thank you. Mr. Morris, will you please do a roll call vote?
Mr. Baoki,
Yes.
Mr. Burley,
Yes.
Mr. Marco,
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence,
Yeah.
Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Watkins,
Yes.
President Erdinger.
Yes.
The next item in finance is simply the explanation of each of those charges. I'm not going to read through all of them because they are in the agendas which you have. So after that, we have another motion. I need to send a letter of opposition as advised by the PA Municipal League to House Bill. Please note, it's House Bill 291, not 299. There's an error in our documentation, so we might want to correct that. It's House Bill 291, establishing the Public Employees Occupational Safety and Health Act.
Name of the bill.
Oh, that's not the name of the bill?
We
Okay,
have to get the correct name of the bill.
so there's another error as well. If you look up or Google House Bill 291, the correct name will come up.
It is certifying mortgage priority over municipal claims and liens. Article 291, entitled certain modified mortgages to provide over municipal claims and liens.
Mr. President, that motion is on page 7.
On pages 6.
Yeah, I guess I give it 291, and I think the motion that Mr. Watkins did was one with the state OSHA, establishing a state OSHA. Administration. That's the one that you just. Opposition. I'll go 299. I'll go 299.
So there are two motions, okay, I call it.
The information I was giving was that needed correction, so, dear solicitor, so should we proceed with this motion for House Bill 299?
Yes.
I second.
We have a roll call.
We should.
Well,
We should. Yeah. But, yeah, after every motion, second, we should ask for comments from council.
Does anyone have comments on this bill? In that case, if there are any comments, we have a roll call.
Mr. Pelkey,
Yes.
Mr. Belay,
Yes.
Mr. Marco. Mr. Lawrence,
Yes.
Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Watkins.
Yes.
Mr. Irwin.
yes,
Very much. I also have another motion. I move to send a letter of opposition to the PA. Opposition as advised by the PA Municipal League, House Bill 930. Expanding permanent disfigurement benefits under the workers' compensation law, whereby increasing insurance premiums.
Second.
Are there any discussion or comments on this bill? Hearing none, may we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Pelkey,
Yes.
Mr. Belay,
Yes.
Ms. DeMarco,
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence.
Yes.
Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Watkins,
Yes.
Mr. Irwin.
yes,
The last motion I have is one that was referenced earlier, so. I will just bring it a third. Move to oppose House Bill 291, which places recovery of delinquent municipal taxes and liens below mortgages upon property transfer.
Second.
Any discussion on this bill?
There's one thing I'd like to say, this is important for our borough. If they're going to put liens below liens and delinquent municipal taxes below the mortgage, that means for the property transfers, we could lose the ability to recover those fees. So we, in order to keep the borough strong and for your taxes not to go, we desperately need to oppose this bill.
Thank you. Any further comments? May we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Pelkey,
Yes.
Mr. Belay,
Yes.
Ms. DeMarco,
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence,
Yes.
Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Watkins.
Yes.
Mr. Irwin.
yes,
I'm out of order, I know, but can I request a copy of your letters to the office when you're back to first?
Considering some of your house.
Yeah.
Then we thank you for.
In the general report, for the plans, that's in the agenda. Anyone can read those, so that concludes the finance.
Very much. Under rural property, Ms. Martin, please. Thank you, Mr. Marco. Thank you, motion. Move to ratify the decision of the committee of the whole on July 11 to approve resolution number 1256, which endorses the grant application prepared by Mr. Ringer for various Stores Hills Park improvements. Any discussion and comment? I have a question, should that be 1255, since we corrected, it should not be. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay, can we roll call, please?
Mr. Boki,
Yes.
Mr. Relay,
Yes.
Ms. DeMarco,
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence,
Yes.
Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Watkins,
Yes.
Mr. Robert.
yes,
Thank you. Second motion, move to approve the bid of Glass Block Pro for installation of glass block windows in the public works garage at a cost of $5,300 with 50% down payment. The funds to come from the borough's capital improvements plan.
Second.
Is there any discussion or comment? Hearing none, may we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Boki,
Yes.
Mr. Relay,
Yes.
Ms. DeMarco,
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence,
Yes.
Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Watkins,
Yes.
Mr. Urban.
yes,
Thank you. Under my general report, we would like to have, a meeting via Zoom on the Westinghouse Lodge, if Alice is prepared to do that. Or not on Zoom.
At least to my knowledge.
Thank you.
At least to my knowledge, it does not look like Kevin Brett, who is the primary contact for this computer, does not look like he was able to get on. So planning is on that. Buildings that are receiving. So with regards to the computer, if there are any specific questions, I can take those to Kevin, or we can also mention the schedule. Call to that, should that be.
I was under the impression this was for the work that was being done for the lodge itself rather than the amphitheater or the shop. But that wasn't made clear from the minutes. Thank you for filling in on.
Okay, so what is included in the agenda is the only update that I have. Should it be requested, Kevin has sent me a couple messages during the meeting, if there are any specific comments that we get in addition to what's in the report, I can request it.
Okay. Thank you. Ma'am. The general report includes some information that can be read in the agenda. And that is what I'll probably thank you. Is it the pleasure of council to consider the motion regarding our ordinance that we've had hearing for at this time, or would you like to take 90 days to consider? Okay. We would be entertaining a motion to approve the proposed ordinance number 1108 pursuant to the petition of Putnam Pittsburgh Ardmore, Pennsylvania SP LLC to amend chapter 27 of Borough Code of Ordinances zoning to allow automobile washes as conditional use in the S2 and E1 zoning district and set forth certain definitions and use specific standards for the same. We have a motion. So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Thank you. Mr. Morris, may I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Bioki,
No.
Mr. Relay,
No.
Ms. DeMarco,
No.
Mr. Lawrence,
No.
Ms. Martin,
No.
Mr. Watkins,
No.
Mr. Urban.
no,
Any motion fails.
Move to grant preliminary and final minor subdivision approval for the Ashby and Ontario lot consolidation plan. And to revise to consolidate the lots located on the property known as 511 Marion Avenue, Pittsburgh, PA, 13221, Allegheny County, lot number 373B62.
Second.
Any discussion?
I'll just mention, this is a very simple lot consolidation, the two adjacent lots on Marion Avenue. The planning commission reviewed and recommended approval to council. This is a resident who wanted to construct an accessory structure that would have bisected the property line. And so in order to do that, had to extinguish the property line to the two adjacent lots that is in the same order. Just wanted to give that thought perhaps.
Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Bioki,
Yes.
Mr. Belay,
Yes.
Ms. DeMarco.
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence,
Yes.
Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Watkins,
Yes.
Mr. Erlanger.
yes,
Under my, we're talking about the trees that unarmored that have died. So, with the warranty that needs to be activated, Mr. Brown's talked to him about it. Also, Mr. Martha noted that the planning commission reviewed the total ordinance and reviewing that that's what we would do. Engineers reports following, and also, there's land developments going on by LSRC issued a letter to us regarding asset territorial consolidation and 213 Washington Road. And also I'm saying based on the conversation regarding Ardmore Middle County that the speed there is definitely too fast. And I'm working with entity, my customer, that I've known for about 20 years. If I can't get Ardmore to work out, it is really dangerous place. That's what I'm doing.
Thank you. Mr. Watkins, please speak.
Thank you very much. In public works, we have our general report. I've spoken with our representative from FE. He's going to give us a few bullet points and any important jobs, any important communications regarding the engineers report.
Yes, thank you, Councilman Watkins. In terms of public work items, so the Aggie storm sewer, so that one is currently being reviewed with budget. So there's currently no action this time. The Watt Lane head wall LLC is currently in the process of obtaining some of the bid documents. Make sure we have all the necessary paperwork so we can hold the pre-construction meeting on that project. We're anticipating pre-construction meeting should occur next couple of weeks. Forest Hills Road Drainage Project, El Grande began work early July. They have completed most of the work going up one side of the road. They have temporary asphalt restoration in place. They're going to do full asphalt restoration once both sides of the street are completed. They are going to begin work on the other side of the street next week. We're anticipating that project will probably take an additional 3 weeks to. 2023 roadway improvement program, pre-construction meeting that project was held and minutes issued. That I just got notice this afternoon that they are probably going to be pushing the start of that to August 7th. So that'll be 2 weeks from Monday, and they will be providing resident notices at least 1 week prior to the beginning of construction there. Park and ride, one engineering will be reporting on the status of that. Construction is ongoing. And with regards to the GIS, we are currently will be providing. That is all that I have for the team. I apologize. So the 2024 road review and priority rating, so LC will be scheduling meetings with people to review on growth to start getting that budget set up. It's going to include asphalt for repairs to form inlets and most curves. So main part will be the asphalt there. So LC will be meeting with the borough to review the prior recommendation on any work that will be required there. And as for permit wise, I guess that's the difference.
If you think what we have in the agenda is nothing, that's fine.
Okay. And with regards to the MS4 items, those 4 points, the agenda should cover everything. And then the sanitary fevers category here, those 4 points, the infections.
Well, I have a question, Mr. Martin.
That's it.
How will El Grande be providing notices to the residents prior to paving? The last project that they started, they failed to notify residents, so you know what the process will be, what method they will be using.
I believe they will be using hand delivered written letters to residents.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for our engineer? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have the foreman's report. A foreman is not here, so everyone has access to his report. It's in the agenda that concludes everything for public works.
Thank you very much. Public safety, Mr. Bailey.
Thank you. I move to authorize the solicitor to prepare and advertise an ordinance regulating aggressive handling.
Hearing none, may I have a voice vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you very much.
I move to withdraw council authorization for the agreement with Rhythm Traffic Signal Maintenance for 5 years that was approved at the June meeting. And approve an updated agreement available to member communities in PennDOT District 11, which is significantly less expensive than the funds that come from the borough general fund traffic signal maintenance. Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, it was like yeah, I would just like to point out that the original that we voted on was within $35,000 over a 5-year period. This is significantly less. Yes.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions? Hearing none, Mr. Morris, can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Bioki,
Yes.
Mr. Burley.
Yeah.
Ms. DeMarco.
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence.
Yes.
Ms. Martin.
Yes.
Mr. Watkins.
Yes.
Mr. Erlanger.
Yes.
Thank you, the motion carries.
I move to approve ordinance number 1109, amending chapter 15, part 4 of the Code of Ordinances, removing Avenue A, Avenue D, Avenue E, G, A, Chalet Drive, Fieldcrest Drive, Glasgow Drive, Greenwood Road, Hillcrest Road, Sylvan Road, and Woodside Road entities from the regulation which limits parking to 2 hours in certain locations, days, and hours.
Second.
The discussion questions.
Yeah, just for your information, those signs were put up probably 35 years ago when we allowed students to drive the women. So those days are gone, so they're just taking up space.
Any other comments? Hearing none, may I have a roll call, vote, please?
Mr. Bioki.
Yeah.
Mr. Burley.
Yes.
Ms. DeMarco.
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence.
Yes.
Ms. Martin.
Yes.
Mr. Watkins.
Yeah.
Mr. Erlanger.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
In the general report, that information is available to read in the agenda. However, I would like to highlight a couple of items. This has to do with traffic control, traffic calming. We are in the process of ordering some driver feedback signs, so radar signs that tell you how fast you're going. We have, we're under review for speed humps in certain locations. And we have a new speed trailer that's a mobile device or mobile radar feedback system that we have on order, and that should be here within the next month. And that's all I have.
Do we have any business to come before the council? Hearing none, council meeting is adjourned. Our next scheduled meeting is August 16th, 2023. And we may use the Zoom format for our committee meetings, which are scheduled for Thursday, August 3rd and Tuesday, August 8th. With that, meeting is adjourned and there will be an executive session. Thank you.